In this series of videos, we'll be working on the Week 5 Photoshop letter activity, where we're going to be creating a 4-letter word, sourcing letters found from the letter maze image in Slate. That document can be found in your content browser by scrolling to the very bottom. It's the final folder, double-click, and then double-click on Letter Maze. Here you're going to be able to download the zip folder by clicking on Download. Remember that when you download the zip folder, you then need to unzip the folder and then copy the content somewhere onto your computer. Remember that Photoshop, as well as Bridge, will be unable to open a zipped folder. The contents will be inaccessible to that program. I've already done that step, so I'm going to go ahead and open up Photoshop, and this is the document that you're going to be working with. Now, before we even begin, I want to take a couple steps back and visit our layers panel. Now, before I opened up this document, before we started this video, I created these layers, this rectangle layer, red layer, and blue layer, which you can't see because they're hidden. Now, don't worry, you're not going to be seeing these in your letter maze document. I'm going to wink them on so that you can see them. I created these simply by going over here to my rectangle tool, clicking, dragging, and dropping, and creating 3 rectangles, which I then changed the fill color here. What I want to show you, I'm just going to go back to the Move tool, is I want to show you a little bit about the different relationships between the standard layers and a background layer, which you'll notice is locked. See that little lock there? That's always going to be the case with any image that you open up in Photoshop. Any image when you first begin will show up as a single layer document with a lock on it, unless it's been played with before in Photoshop and has been turned into a multi-layer document. Now, the thing to remember about layers, these items here, these standard layers, is that you can do a great deal to them. In fact, these layers are completely transparent. It doesn't look like they are. For example, this rectangle 1 layer, which is my black layer. This layer is like, say, a window that has black paint on it. In fact, the red layer and the blue layer are exactly the same. They're clear windows with paint on them. Now, the nice thing about transparent layers is that, well, I can, see what's beneath them, or imagine rubbing the paint off. I can change the opacity and I could see somewhat transparent between these layers. I'm going to demonstrate that really quick using the eraser tool. I'm going to start on the blue layer, so click on the blue layer. I'm going to go over here to my eraser tool, which is about halfway on my toolbar, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you what it looks like when I use the eraser tool. Okay, so I've removed, let's say, the blue ink or blue paint on this clear window, and I can now see through it to the red layer. I'm going to go over to this red rectangle and do the same thing there, so you'll be able to see. So I'm going to go ahead and remove some of that red paint on that clear layer so I can see through it, so I can now see part of the black rectangle and part of my image, my background image. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing to the black one and just demonstrate. What's different about the background layer is when I do that to the background layer, it's not transparent, whereas these ones are. Okay, these layers are. Another nice thing about these layers that's different from the background layer, I'm just going to go up to my Move tool really quick, and I'm going to change the stacking order. I'm going to go ahead and click, drag, and drop. You can see now that my black layer is up a level. I'm going to take the blue layer, click, drag, and drop, and you can see that now my blue layer is at the bottom. I can change the stacking order of these, but I cannot do that to the background layer. If I click, drag, and drop, it returns always to the bottom. It doesn't allow me to click, drag, and drop or to change the layering. Other nice things that I can do with layers, if I want to hold a layer, click a layer, and shift and select another one. If I right-click on a layer, I can duplicate the layers and copy them and create new layers just like them. I can delete the layers, and I can group the layers together. Now, that background layer is unique because I can't do any of those lovely things. It's always locked. So I can't change the stacking order. I can't actually reposition or move. So if I click on the blue layer, for example, I can go over here to my Move tool and I can move it, or I can resize it. Okay. Watch what happens on my background layer. Oh, I gotta tell Photoshop to keep my change. Could not use the move tool because the layer is locked. But now this can easily be solved. I can easily change this from a locked layer to a standard layer. All I need to do is double click. When I double click on this layer, I change it from a background layer to layer 0. I can either rename it right in this box here, or I can click OK. I now have layer 0, which watch what happens. I can change the stacking order. Now that blue layer, that blue rectangle, is still there, but it was beneath layer 0. Finally, I can also rename a layer that, let's say for example here I've got blue, red, layer 0. This is not a locked layer, but if I double click on it, just like I did with my background layer, I can change this to black. And that's about it about layers.